I'd like to call this December 10th, December 10th regular Board of Ed meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first up, we're going to have our Student Council report from Jimmy Gallivan.
All right, good evening all. I'd like to share some updates about recent happenings in our schools. In the category of 21st century knowledge, specifically the arts, the Somers Musical Company, which I think you'll be hearing more of later on, will be presenting their fall drama production starting this Friday. It's Clue on stage, and it's at 7 p.m. this Friday at the high school. Additionally, students in Spanish classes recently took a trip to the Tarrytown Music Hall to see the Hispanic Flamenco Ballet. And the SHS Strings and Choir concert will be next Thursday, December 19th. In terms of athletics, the fall sports season recently concluded. Congratulations to all athletes. And the winter sports season is now in full swing. Additionally, congratulations to the varsity football team, who are now, for a third year in a row, state champs. In terms of social, emotional, and physical wellness, specifically counseling, the college search process formally kicked off for juniors with Junior College Night last week, which was online. Students and parents had an opportunity to get an insider's view of college admissions from admissions counselors from Boston College, SUNY Binghamton, and Penn State. In terms of global citizenship, specifically student life, from November 24th to 26th, Student Council attended the annual New York State Council on Leadership and Student Activities Conference in Lake Placid. Council members were able to learn valuable leadership skills from an array of speakers, workshops, and networking opportunities with other student councils from across the state. Additionally, Augustus Infante and I both served as District 4 representatives on the student board, helping to plan, organize, and run the conference. Our advisor, Ms. O'Shea, also ran her first conference as Executive Director of NYSCLSA. Additionally, tomorrow, Student Council will be hosting our annual Veterans Brunch. Local veterans were invited to the brunch, providing a valuable opportunity to honor their incredibly valuable contributions to our community. And finally, students in both IB Visual Arts and AP Art and Design classes recently took a trip to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in the city, where they had a behind-the-scenes look at the museum's research library while learning more about the art on exhibit there. Those are all of my updates for tonight. Happy holidays to all those who celebrate, and have a good night.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you. Thanks, Jimmy.
Okay, this brings us to our Tusker Pride section. This is a newish section for our board that we're doing this year, where we're going to recognize different student achievements across our school district. And tonight we've invited some of the drama students from the drama club at the high school to show us what they've been working on for their play Clue this weekend. Ladies.
Hi, I'm Olivia Peck.
I'm Ava Rennie.
And I'm Antonia Dukakis.
And we are part of the officer board for both Drama Club and for Crew this year. And we're putting on the fall drama Clue.
We just wanted to share that we have our first showings on Friday at 7 p.m. and Saturday at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. And as well as being officers, we took a new lead this year, and we decided to be completely student-run. So me, Olivia Peck, and Olivia C., who couldn't be here right now, are directing.
So this is my first year being in an officer position for stage crew. It's been a very, very new thing for all of us. However, it's been very, very exciting as well because we get to share new opportunities, and we're all working extremely hard to build a very intricate set that I think is going to be very, very fun for both the audience and the crew, and more importantly, the actors.
So we just have a little snippet from one of our scenes of the show that we'd love to share with you guys.
Dinner is served. Thank you, cook.
All right, Ben Butler, what's this about? This dinner party?
Ours not to reason why, ours but to do and die.
Die?
Merely quoting, sir, from Alfred Lord Tennyson.
I prefer Kipling myself. Do you like Kipling, Colonel?
Sure, I'll eat anything. So, where is our host? Is this where he sits?
All in good time, sir.
Oh my God, what is that smell? It's something familiar.
A shark species.
Oh, that's my favorite.
I know. Bon appetit.
Oh, this is delicious. My, this is yummy. This is so delicious. Yummy. No? Well then. I'll be the one to get started. I'll be the one to get the ball rolling. I used to be a host. This is an integral part of my life. It wasn't love. Right. I forgot we're not supposed to disclose things about our personal lives. Oh well. I'm intrigued. I don't know why we're here, but I'm delighted to be here and know why. The soup is delicious, isn't it?
I know who you are.
You do?
Work in Washington.
Washington.
So you must be a politician's wife, Miss Peacock.
Yes, I am. Who's your husband? Maybe I know him. Well, he's actually Mrs. White. You've been awfully quiet. What does your husband do?
Nothing.
He just lays around on his back, I guess. Oh, how lazy. Not necessarily.
Sorry, I'm a little accident prone.
$5, mister.
Sorry?
Mr. Green, what is it you do in Washington?
Oh, I forgot to say, I like to follow the rules.
Well, for Christ's sake, if I wasn't trying to keep the conversation going, we would just be sitting here in awkward silence.
Are you afraid of silence, Miss Peacock?
Yes! No! Why?
Well, in my professional opinion, it seems you suffer what we call pressure of speech.
Is that an official diagnosis?
Are you a doctor, Professor?
In psychological medicine, yes.
Do you practice?
Not anymore. I currently work for the U.S. government.
Another politician.
Not exactly. I do research for you-know-who. Oh, the United Nations Organization. The World Health Organization.
Oh, you know who. It's the acronym.
I had a sister who was a gymnast.
You are a real girl, aren't you?
I am, sir.
Aren't you going to mention the coincidence that you also live in Washington, Colonel?
How'd you know that?
I've seen you before.
So, Miss Scrooge, does that mean you live in Washington too?
Sure do. So does anyone here not live in Washington?
Oh, this is all about Red Scare.
I'm not a communist, I'm a Republican.
All right, Quattro, we've had about enough of this. Where's our host? Why have we been brought here?
Oh, speak of the devil. I'll be right with you.
Hey, I've got an idea. Oh, good thinking, Miss Scarlet. What are we doing?
The acoustic coupling between the glass and the door allows sound waves to travel from one side to the other. There's a door there?
Yes.
Who are you out there? No, for God's sakes, I demand to know what's going on. Who is at the door? Why are we brought here? And what is going on?
Can I interest any of you in fruit or dessert?
No!
In that case, may I suggest we adjourn to the study, at which point I believe your newly arrived host will reveal his intentions, your letters will be explained, and the game will be afoot.
So we hope you enjoyed that little snippet of Clue, and if you decide to come to the show this weekend, you'll have a really nice set reveal. It's a crazy set, and we've been working really hard on it, so hope you guys come and see it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This brings us to our second half of Tusker Pride. I believe, I don't know if you want to say anything, Harry, but the student athletes will be recognized for the fall season by Mr. Mark Haddam.
That's it. Mr. Haddam?
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you so much. Before I get started, adjust this. We won a state championship this past Friday in Syracuse in football, and Coach DiMatteo, I say this with all due respect, to me, my favorite part of going up on Friday was watching Miss Olivia Peck honor Somers and sing the national anthem in front of the JMA Wireless Dome. I have it on video board, and Harry, and I'll send it to you guys. She did such an incredible job representing us and singing. So many people in that dome that night walked out and said, "Who is that?" I handed out my business card. I'm your agent now, Olivia, so please, so you know. But if we could just honor Olivia very quick. She was incredible at that. It was really cool, so congrats again. Have a couple things to give out tonight. A couple of teams aren't here. I'd like to honor a couple league champions, or three I should say, our girls and boys varsity soccer teams and our girls cross country team for winning league championships. I know Coach Veg is here, so congrats to those folks. Also want to congratulate all of our teams. Every single team in this fall season was awarded the Scholar Athlete Team Award for having a certain percentage of their kids over a 90 GPA. We are now a third of the way there. It's my goal one of these years to have every single team win that award and get recognized by New York State. So we're a third of the way there, and if any of our coaches or players are listening to this, the pressure's now on you to be perfect in the winter, but really proud to see our students getting stuff done in the classroom. So those were just a couple teams. We do have a couple individual accomplishments to recognize. The Con Edison Award in Westchester County in Section 1 is the prominent individual award for athletes in our area. What it does is it's only a third about athletics. Really, what the Con Ed Award recognizing our student athletes is their community service and their academics. I was lucky enough last year, they asked me to be a panelist. The panel meets once a month, for my panel at least, and the resumes that we read are incredible. And again, it's not just about athletics, it's about academics and what our students do. This season, we had two students here at Somers High School that were honored with that award, and we certainly need to recognize them. So the first one I'm going to ask to come up here is Mr. Miguel Iglesias. Come on up, Miguel. Academically, Miguel is a dedicated student who has earned a place on the honor roll every year and is a proud member of the National Honor Society. His inclusion in the Honor Society speaks not only to his high academic performance, but also to his commitment to the core values of leadership, service, and character. Miguel excels in all aspects of his education and has maintained this level of achievement while balancing a demanding athletic schedule. In football, Miguel served this year as captain of our state championship team and quarterback. Miguel has been on the team for the past 3 years and has won 3 state championships. Miguel, one of the coolest things about Miguel, some of his individual accomplishments is, on top of all that quarterbacking stuff, he was also voted by the coaches as Defensive Player in the Year in Class A for his work on the defensive side of the football. In that world, having a quarterback that can do that as well is a huge accomplishment, Miguel. Miguel is also named the Class A Player of the Year I know he's the finalist for the Section Player of the Year. And if you ask this AD that knows not much about football, this young man should be the State Player of the Year. So we look forward to seeing what the next couple weeks hold for you, Miguel. In addition, Miguel also demonstrates strong leadership off the field as a member of the Peer Leadership Program at Somers High School, where he mentors underclassmen and helps organize school-wide team-building activities. Before I let Miguel know, I think about a preseason conversation I had with Coach, talking about you, Miguel, and your role this year and what to look forward to. And before any of the athletic stuff, Coach looked me right in the eye and said, "He leads." And I said, what does that mean? He goes, he walks in that room and has everybody's attention. We have 4 captains here tonight, and they all fit under that category. But I remember that because Coach had the chance to talk about you, Miguel, as your athletic talents, just all kinds of things. And it was just about your leadership and the wonderful young man you are. So I'd like to congratulate you on the Con Ed Award. I also forgot a very minor fact. Miguel is off to Notre Dame to play lacrosse. Notre Dame, as Miguel told me when he committed there, was a national championship, the national champion as a junior, and this year they just won another national champion. So we are sending Miguel, who has his own local championships, over to Notre Dame, where they've won some national championships, and he will continue to represent us really well. So congratulations, and thank you for everything, Miguel. Our next Con Ed winner is a young lady that could put a smile on your face, so positive, so enthusiastic, no matter good, bad, indifferent. Miss Maren Kellogg. Come on up, Maren. So Maren is a volleyball player here at Somers High School. Maren's amazing. She's just, she comes in the athletic office and Miss Tippett just lights up, right? And Maren, I think, knows that and comes in and just says hello to Joni, and Joni lights up. And they sit out there and they talk about everything. And she's such a, just such a positive spirit, positive person. Academically, Maren has challenged herself with a rigorous course load, including biomedical sciences and engineering and IB sports and exercise science. Her passion for science and health is also reflected in her active participation in the Biomedical Club, Cancer Research Club, and Science Research Club. Maren demonstrates not only a deep curiosity for learning, but also a determination to apply her knowledge in meaningful ways, particularly in the health and medical fields. Maren's involvement in the Student Athletic Council, Sports Med Club, Student Senate, and Model UN debate showcases her leadership abilities and her commitment to making a difference. Maren's accomplishments on the volleyball court, you had your 500th kill this year, correct? Maren does everything on the court, and our volleyball coach asked Maren to do a lot on the court, and he demands a lot out of Maren. And I would always sit there and, in the toughest of moments, marvel at how Maren in her volleyball world can just lower everybody's blood pressure on the court with just a smile and "we got it, coach," and how you lead your teammates, how you relate to Coach Pittman, Coach K, and the work you do on the volleyball court. She was an all-section winner this year, and Maren won a scholarship at that all-section dinner that I believe only 2 kids in the section, and it's a not to get in the world of volleyball, it's a really, really, really prestigious honor. So we're really proud of you for that, Maren. Maren is driven by a profound sense of community and purpose. Her commitment to giving back is evident through her extensive community service. She organized a toy drive for the Northern Westchester Emergency Room, volunteered at her local Greek Orthodox church, read to dogs at the SBCA, and tutored younger students in math and science. Maren's desire to help others is not only admirable, but speaks to her character as someone who is always looking for ways to contribute positively to the world around her. Everything there is just so factual, and I know, Maren, you'll have a chance to meet our board and say hello. Again, I hope I captured it and captured your positive and good. Before Maren leaves us, I'd like to tell a story about Maren. Last year, we had a job search for a coach It was a big job search with really, really good candidates, and we hired a great one. And Maren sat in, and she was our student representative. And although there was some great coaches that interviewed, I was happy that night to call the person that the committee chose. And called the coach, and great here. And about a minute in the conversation, thank you, I appreciate it. He goes, I just got to ask you a question before we even move on. He goes, who in the world was that kid in that room there? And I said, that was Maren Kellogg. He goes, give me her email. I need to get in touch with her because I just need her around this team doing whatever to help us out. She was so incredible. And that just tells you everything about Maren. That was Coach Hirsch. That was Coach Hirsch's one request right after that interview. And he just saw the coolness and the positivity and everything that makes up your character, Maren. So again, thank you so much for just being you and being wonderful and representing our program. And I'm sure I'll hear and see you in the athletic office tomorrow, hanging out with Ms. Tippett. So thank you. So next up, we have two state finalists to recognize. First, or next up, I'd like to ask Miss Julia Dzinski to come on forward. Julia. So Julia runs cross country for us. She also runs track. Cross country is one of the wildest sports to me that we have. It might be the wildest. You're asking athletes to go out, not know their playing area, arena, surface that they're playing at. You're just going to go run, right? And you don't take conditions into effect. You don't take cold and hot and hills and rocks and injuries. You just say go run. And while it's a team sport, it's also rooted in its individualism as an individual sport. As we know, as we've all celebrated the beautiful weather we had this past fall, but it's been hot, right? So we go out there and Julia's running in the heat. Julia's running, and the commitment to do it and to be really good at it, I think, just speaks to a person's character and their will to be great. And that's Julia. And luckily for us, we have Julia for another year. This year, Julia qualified for cross country. Last year, she qualified for spring track. Two totally different events, two totally different races, two totally different meets. But the constant in it all is going out and watching Julia's all business attitude to just mastering her craft. And you did that, and you did that up in Queensbury this year. Julia came in 15th, running a gutsy race at sectionals up in Queensbury, and she ran 15th overall in the state. And if you know Julia, she's just as good in the classroom and the hallways, and another very, very positive young lady. I know Coach Veg always raves about just having you around and your presence on the team. So congratulations on a great race, and I look forward to either honoring you again this year for track, but definitely let's do it again next year for cross country. Congratulations, Julia. And if I could ask Mr. Coach Anthony DiMatteo and his four captains to come on up here. So our boys football team on Friday, December 6th, won their third state championship. They are the first team in the history of New York State in Class A, or Class AA, to win 3 state championships. The success is incredible, but I don't, we could talk about the football. I joked before about not knowing football. I grew up in Queens, New York. It was basketball, baseball, a bust. We didn't have high school football. Being up here in Somers made me a high school football fan. And it made me a fan, not just because of the success on the field, but the true sense of community that Coach DiMatteo, his coaching staff, our parents, and the players bring forth. We have 4 young men up here, our captains. Being a captain to 60 athletes is a major role. You gentlemen handled every test that came your way this year incredibly. Aiden, your intensity, your physicality, your leadership from the safety position, I admired. Ben, we joked with Mom that said, I'm sure you're happy football season's over now in its own regard, because Ben Harris was the guy that played every snap along the defensive line, offensively and defensively, against, Ben's a big kid, but against bigger kids, and you did it. And I remember looking at the field, Ben, and you're limping, and you're the Harrison game, and you were a warrior, an absolute warrior. Miguel, we honored you for your leadership at quarterback and on defense. And Mason, I didn't know if you would show up tonight, because I think that you might have been worried that Coach DiMatteo would have given you another carry or two tonight and just ran you. Mason Kelly ran the ball every important down this year. Is that right, Coach? Can we say that? And it was amazing. Mason just got strong as the game went on. What a warrior, Mason. And Mason will be going on to Brown next year to play lacrosse. So the four of you were incredible, and it was such an honor to watch you compete and do your thing. Very quickly, I think about all we could talk about, and this is a 12-month-a-year thing for Coach DiMatteo. It's what he does. But I want to just fast forward to the end. I went home Friday night we got home late, about 4 a.m. I woke up early, and there was a video of Coach on my phone, and video from after the game talking. And every video that you watch Coach DiMatteo speak, it's about being from here. It's about living here. It's about growing up here. And it's about making the young men that he coaches represent this community the way he has. And you've instilled something that's just incredibly special. And what Coach DiMatteo has done is, you're around sports, you hear the words family and community, and people say it, but it doesn't happen. And I think, Coach, how you do it, right? Like how you do it. And to the four of you young men up here, the one thing that I think you can attest to is that Coach does it because his family's around him, his friends are around him, people he went to college with in high school. And those are the people that Coach believes in, right? And you've given not only yourself the best chance to succeed, you've given our athletes the best role models to learn, to succeed from. You've built something really amazing, Ant. I know football runs in your bloodline, and you know the game, and you sleep the game, and you think the game. But as a friend, as a colleague, as someone that works in this district, your ability to teach lessons by doing and not just saying is something you should be really proud of yourself. I will finish with this. I did talk to your wife at the end of the game, Coach DiMatteo, and you are now expected to be a dad again. So no more football for the next couple of weeks. You will be waking up with the kids on Saturday and Sunday morning over the next couple of months, and that's an expectation. And Mr. Lefevre said he would back up Jill on that claim. So it is time now to do your morning duty and no more football, okay? Congratulations to our 3-time now back-to-back-to-back state football championship.
We're going to take a short break now, and we have some refreshments, and at the end of that, the students can leave so they can go to school tomorrow morning. Unless you'd like to stay for a budget, unless you'd like to stay for a budget presentation, it can help prepare you for sleep.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for letting us take a moment and just congratulate the athletes and the drama club officers. This brings us to our first public comment section of the meeting. This is for agenda items only. Does anyone have any public comment for agenda items? Okay, then it brings us to our central office report. I believe this is all you, Chris.
I'll take it from here. Good evening. So this is our first budget presentation for the 25-26 school year budget. Again, it's always hard to think that we're already talking about the 25-26 school year, especially after just hearing the fall sports just wrapped up in this current school year. So tonight, we'll take you through a few different things, the budget development process, then some of the driving factors that are impacting the 25-26 budget, and then a look back at some of the budget history for the last 5 years, and then a review of our reserves and fund balance, and then our tax certiorari, and then at the end of the presentation, we'll look at debt service, and then our projected bond for May of 2025 that we're going to look to ask the voters to vote on. So currently, the annual budget cycle starts every year. We've been planning and having those budget discussions with various departments and different stakeholders throughout the district, the faculty, staff, PTA, Citizens Finance Committee. We meet with each one of these groups, take input, kind of show them where we're at with the budget, and again, some of the stuff that we'll see here tonight. Review all that with them, and then we continue along the process. Again, you'll see some of the interesting uncertainties that we have moving forward with this budget. Just like last year, we had some curveballs thrown at us, especially from the state, so we'll look at some of that. And then as we continue throughout the process in the next few months, we review and coordinate all of that and compile and get ready to prepare an actual budget for the board to adopt in April. And then there's always that public budget hearing, and all leading to the budget and trustee vote on May 20th of 2025. So every year I like to remind folks that when building the budget, we do have to balance revenues and expenses. Some of the larger revenues that we have here in Somers is property taxes, state aid, and sales tax. And then some of our larger expenses include salary and benefits, transportation, and debt service. So some of the driving factors as far as revenues are concerned is the tax levy cap calculation that has been in effect now for over a decade. So one of the major factors in there is the consumer price index that's used in that calculation. Again, it's trending above 2%, and we are maxed at using that 2% number if it's above that, so we can't go higher than 2% when in the calculation itself. So again, it's trending around 4% right now. Last year it was 4.12, but in the calculation itself, we can only use 2%. So there's also other exclusions that are included in that tax cap calculation. So current projection for the maximum levy with exclusions is going to be between 2.25% to 3%. We'll look to finalize that in the next month or two as we get some of the other additional numbers that we need to finish that calculation. One of the other big uncertainties for next year is state aid, specifically foundation aid. So if you recall last year, that's one of the big curveballs that was thrown at us when we first got the state aid runs that the governor's proposal put out there, where it didn't exactly follow the way the current law was written. So there were some discrepancies, and it resulted in a lost aid or a reduction in aid for a lot of districts. And now as part of their budget that they did pass last year, they put in this, enlisted the help of the Rockefeller Institute to study the foundation aid formula, and they just released a report with that. So everyone's still kind of combing through that on what that actually looks like. There's some good recommendations in there. There's still some things that aren't addressed. And then what that looks like for school districts across the state is still unknown. And then again, what the governor's going to do when she comes out with her first proposal, we still don't know. So we're still kind of in a holding pattern, and we won't really know some of those answers until sometime in January when we get those first state aid runs from the state. Then interest revenue, as you know, last year when we were building the budget, we increased our interest revenue significantly because rates were drastically going up. Now they're starting to come back down, so we have to look to really see if now that's an area where we might have to reduce some of the revenue that we had compared to this current budget. And then appropriated fund balance and use of reserves, current year, we're at about almost 1.7 million, and we're still projected to use somewhere in that 1.5 to 2 million for next year. So now switching over to the expenditure side, again, some of the biggest driving factors here, New York State Teachers Retirement System. So this is the employer contribution rate. So currently for this current school year, it's 10.11%, and that it's going to be dropping down to 9.5% to 10%. So they give a range, and then they'll formally adopt a rate in the next month or so. So we should hopefully have that for the next budget presentation, but they're always within that range that they provide us, so we won't be seeing an increase in the teacher's retirement system employer contribution rate, which is very good because that's where we have all our teachers, teaching assistants, and administrators, so any kind of real fluctuation in that rate can impact the budget for sure, because it's on all the salaries for all of those different positions.
And in the past few years, it has been a significant increase. Is that one of the ones where they have been significantly impacted?
There was a couple of years where it's significant. Last year wasn't huge, but even just a small percentage does have an impact on the overall budget. Because I want to say it went from 9.8 to that 10.11%. So again, not a huge percentage increase, but still, when it's on a large amount of salaries, it's going to still generate a significant amount of additional dollars that need to be spent on it. Then we also have the New York State retirement system for the employee retirement system. That rate is increasing from 15.2 to 16.5%. So overall, it's 8.5% increase on that one. And that's for all non-certified staff, so your teacher aides, monitors, custodians, maintenance, office staff, and whatnot. So it's still a significant percentage increase. It's not on as large of a salary base because there's more people in the TRS system, but still does have an impact on the overall budget. Then the last large area we'll kind of look at tonight is just anticipated health insurance rate increases. So our teachers are on the Empire plan, and that plan does run on a calendar year. So for 2025, we have an aggregate projected increase of about 2.75%. And then you see for 2026, we're projecting an increase of 12 to 14%. So you may recall the last couple of years that has been a double-digit increase, which does wreak havoc on the budget because it's a very large increase on a large budget line. So seeing the 2.75% increase this year was very exciting for me, just to say the least. And I did look at some of the rates across the state, like the individual market rate increases across the state for health insurance. So for 2025, it looks like the average for them are going up about 13%. So that's why, again, we'll certainly take the 2.75% this year for 2025, but we also need to be cautious on how we're budgeting for 2026 for next year. So we're planning on somewhere in that 12 to 14%, just kind of keeping up with the market average. Yes, we lucked out and we're fortunate for 2025, but we want to make sure we're not in a hole for 2026 and budget not enough if there's a large increase again.
I just want to bring up, I know we mentioned this in the Finance Committee last year for everybody asking, we can't really shop this plan around like a private company. It's just we're told the number and
right. Yep.
Chris figure it out.
Yes.
So,
good luck.
So
yep,
if anybody's
exactly.
asking, we can't really sort
right.
of shop the program around or
no.
shop the plan around.
Exactly. And then the Putnam Northern Westchester Health Benefits Consortium plan, that's for everyone outside of the teachers union. And that projected increase for next year is about 3.9%, which is a little bit lower than they've been in the past couple years. They've been around 5.5%. A few years back, they were 8%, so 3.9% is a good number for that as well.
And are they on the They're not on the calendar.
They are not on
right?
a calendar year. They're on our same fiscal year, July to June.
Do you see variations like this in the past? Such a higher increase in 1 year, like 2.75 to 12 or 14.
So that's just
a fluctuation.
Right. So that's the 2026 is our projection at this point, because the last couple years, so I'd say going back 2 or 3 years ago, we did not project a double-digit increase, and then that shocked us, right? So not only does it impact us for the school year that we're currently in when that increase happens in January, then it's also now impacting on the following school year's budget. So now the last couple of years, we've been budgeting for that, the double-digit increases. and now it's gone the other way now, where we've been fortunate to see that 2.75. So it's not like it happens. It doesn't happen every year where we're going 3% to 15%. So for the last couple of years, it's been pretty consistent, double-digit increases. Now we've been fortunate enough to finally have that come down.
But you said the 12 to 14 was still based on what you're seeing
as like the market average for New York
average.
State.
It's not just some number that you pulled out.
No. So, and it is the Department of Financial Services for New York State that approves these market rates or these insurance rates. And I think the requested increase was 17%, the average, and they brought it down to 13%. So.
Right. The last several years, it's been double-digit.
It's been double-digit increases.
That was more of the norm. This is an anomaly to go down to the 2.75.
Right.
So we're in good shape there because we get that for the balance of this school year, January to the end of June, and then the beginning of the next school year. What we don't know is what's going to happen
in
January 2026.
Right.
So that's why we're projecting at that higher level, because that's been the norm. The 2.75 has not been the norm. It's just an added benefit for this year.
What did we project last year for?
For 2025, I want to say it was probably 14% that we projected. So that certainly helps us for, like Harry just said, for the remainder of this year.
Because now we've over budgeted because of the fact that we were projecting out.
Correct.
But if we don't budget accordingly, then we're going to get caught without.
Correct. Which
Right.
was what happened a few years ago when we saw that first kind of double-digit increase that nobody was expecting. And then just a review of the kind of budget for the last 5 years. So you kind of, if you're just looking at the budget-to-budget change there for the last 3 years, I'd say, even 4, I think a large portion of that is due to some of these double-digit increases that we've seen in health insurance. Because that alone could be a $1 million increase in one of these budget lines. So that's why you see some of these larger increases compared to a few years ago, and then just the price of everything else has gone up over the last few years. Tax rate increase is what directly impacts people's taxes. So you see this past year, it went up to 3.84%, largely due to the drop in assessments from the prior year, where it dropped about $5 million in assessments. That was mainly due to the reduction in the IBM property. As you all know, we've talked about it many times, and we'll hit it again in a couple slides about the tax certiorari that's sitting out there for the IBM property. So kind of to stop the bleed, I'd say, for any future potential tax certiorari refunds that may be owed, the assessment was dropped a little bit for this current school year. And just taking a look at some of the reserves that we do have here. We do have a retirement contribution reserve for ERS and TRS. They've been fairly consistent over the last few years. Tax certiorari reserve, a couple years ago we were up over $8 million, but we then had a settlement that we had to pay out for the Pepsi property, and that is all taken care of now, and now we have to start building that back up a little bit now for the IBM property. Capital reserve, as you know, the voters approved us to establish a capital reserve fund up to $10 million. And then the following year we did have, we had $7 million in there, and the voters approved us using those funds, which are for the athletic facilities upgrades essentially at the high school, and Primrose, where the tennis courts are getting very close to being totally complete. And if you've driven by the high school at all lately, you'll see the baseball field. The turf has been rolled out there, and it's looking beautiful. And softball is getting very close as well. Hopefully this weather holds up a little bit longer for us, and we can get it all done before we get another dumping of snow. But if not, it'll be right around the corner there. Once we have some decent weather, they'll be able to get that turf out there for softball too. And then our unassigned fund balance, again, we're capped at a 4% of next year's budget by the state. There's always been some efforts to try to have that increased, but that has not happened in quite a long time.
Saw the recommendation though in the,
To 10%, yeah.
but with
Oh,
strings.
yeah, right. That you'd have to use it to offset some of the tax levy increases and stuff in future years. So who knows what will happen with that. And then also then appropriated fund balance and ERS reserve contribution there that we appropriate for the following year's budget. You see this current school year, we appropriated almost that 1.7. Prior years, it was less. And we usually show a chart that, in the past 10 or 15 years, we've been anywhere from $25,000 up to $2 million. Kind of, it's those health insurance increases and TRS and ERS that really wreak havoc. But rather than cut programs one year and then try to bring it back the next, we try to use this appropriated fund balance to help kind of feather that out and kind of weather the storm, whether it's up or down. And that's what we've been doing for quite a long time now.
Do we have a final number for the IBM?
As what the potential liability could be,
Yeah.
it's in the, what's that? How many figures? 8 figures. So over $10 million for sure. But again, that's just the ask. Where it ends up, still don't know. But we need.
Each year they file, so each year it adds
It keeps
on.
adding up, and that was the point of the reduction in the assessment for the current year, so the potential refund is less in any future years. Because it's been there for a long time right now, so it would be nice if somehow that went away, because that's just a few $1 million that we have sitting there that we'd have to refund, just like we did with the Pepsi property. So it pains me to have to refund some of this money sometimes, because it's just millions of dollars that could go back to the district if it wasn't there. So, and it's not like we're going to be able. It's not like we're raising any additional funds to cover this loss. So,
Well, we don't want to be in that position to have to raise additional funds or bond something like other school districts do.
Right.
We want to keep something in reserve for this. So.
yes. And with the Pepsi property, we were able to pay that off in a couple different fiscal years. So if there was a settlement with IBM, the anticipation would be that would also hopefully be able to be paid off in a couple of different fiscal years. So if we need a little bit more time to get some additional funds in there, we might have it.
With interest.
No interest, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's just speaking of that tax tertiary, those couple big ones in 22-23 and 23-24, that was for the Pepsi property. And so total claims, you're looking at close to 20 million. Again, we have almost 5.9 in there. So we're reserved for about 30%, which previously would have been fantastic, but the way things have now been settling over the past couple of years, it's not as favorable as it has been in the past. So we work very closely with the town. They keep us informed of any conversations that they're having with the property owner, because the town also understands it's a large portion that's going to be coming from the district if a refund is necessary. So, our attorneys are speaking with their attorneys, so they're involved in every step of the way. So no surprises for us when anything new pops up with any of these claims.
Do the town attorneys get involved in this at all for,
Oh, yeah.
for us? Like,
So the town has their own attorneys, and
Yeah.
then we have our attorneys too that also get involved.
So to kind of
Everyone's
work
working together, yeah. So this slide is just about debt service that we currently have for the next few years. So you could see total amount at the bottom there for the current school year is about 5.6 million. You see for the next couple of years, it's still at that 5.6 million. And then from 26, 27 to 27, 28, you see the drop of about 1.3 million. And then from 27, 28 to 28, 29, you see another drop of about 1.6 million. So that's the debt that is starting to fall off from that top line, the 2006, 2009 building project that we had. So one of the things we've talked about over the last year, and now we're starting to kick it into gear here for the next public vote in May of 2025 on the next capital bond project, is we want to replace that debt that's falling off, and we want to try to maintain that same debt level that you currently see here of around $5.6 million. So one of the reasons to maintain that level debt is to help with the tax cap calculation and maximum tax levy limit, as any kind of fluctuations like that can wreak havoc on what it looks like from one year to the next, where one year you might have a very, very small tax levy increase, and then the next year it might shoot up to 6-7%. So it's good to try to maintain that level amount of debt, and the local share that the district is paying will remain level. So that is our anticipation and our hope with the upcoming bond project. So it essentially remains kind of cost neutral for the, I'll just go to the next slide. So approximate size of the project is 60 to 65 million. And again, trying to keep it cost neutral, so no additional cost to taxpayers, because that debt is falling off. And one of the things, if someone looks at it, might say, well, how are you bringing on $60 to $65 million where the bond that fell off was only $56 million? Part of that is because the way it's been the last couple of years now, we haven't been receiving aid on that old project. So we've been footing that bill. So when we bring on this new debt, maybe our debt payment for that bond is $3.5 million, but now we're bringing on, we're going to be getting some building aid on it. So it still remains the same local share that the district was paying prior to it. And we'll have to, work with our fiscal advisors and our bond counsel to make sure the timing of everything works out. So we'll be doing some bond anticipation notes before going to permanent financing. And just going back that one slide, so you see it's falling off in the 27-28 school year. So we'll want to borrow some, if the project's approved, we'll want to borrow some funds in that 26-27 school year. So that first, those payments are then starting up in the 27-28. Then hopefully then borrow some more funds in 27-28. So then the additional funds will then start coming in 28-29. Again, just to maintain that level amount of debt for the next couple of years.
And this is a responsible way for the district to handle it, because these are the types of projects. It's not, and this is my understanding and paraphrasing, I trust you in your calculations, but it is not the district just because the other money's falling off looking to spend money. This is how we need to manage our infrastructure. These are expensive maintenance items, sometimes upgrade items when we have opportunities, that we cannot just pull out of our regular budget. And so this is how we manage it through bonds.
Exactly.
And keeping it nice and level is,
yep.
is very responsible. So
yeah, it's a lot of work that needs to happen. I don't remember exactly when our architects were here to present that master comprehensive plan that they had, but in that plan that they provided, it was, we were up over probably $90 million worth of work that they're saying should happen. Obviously, our budget's like $110 million, so it's not like we can just, we don't have $90 million we don't have $60 million to pay for some of these upgrades. And again, it's just over time. We have a lot of square footage that we deal with. We have multiple buildings, so just the concrete and the parking lots and that alone, it's millions of dollars to do all of that alone. And then some of the HVAC upgrades and fire alarms and all of that costs a lot of money when you look at it throughout the entire district. So this is our time where we have the debt falling off to then tackle many of these items without having any additional burden to the taxpayers for it.
And at our meeting in January, the second meeting in January, our architect and will come in and do a presentation on updating us on the current project and then taking a look at the upcoming bond recommendation for the 2025 vote. So we'll get an opportunity to see pictures, what's being completed now, and then what we need to complete over the next couple of years. That'll be covered in the bond proposal.
Yep. And we had a few steering committee meetings with our architects just to review that master comprehensive plan and start paring it back, because again, we're looking to keep it cost neutral. So in there, he had about 90 million. So we've tried to pare that back and really hone in on the scope of work. Today, we had our first building level committee meeting. So we had some teachers on there, some SSRP representatives, and community members as well. So we went through the kind of list of items that are on there, and then we took a little tour of the building to see some of the areas that we're talking about that really, need to be updated. And it's not that we don't maintain the buildings. The buildings are in good shape. It's just some of these items are old and coming to the end of their useful life. And again, some of this stuff that we're talking about isn't going to even start happening. Maybe in 2026 is when some of it might start, but then some of it's still going to be finished in 2027 and probably even 2028. So, it's 3 or 4 years from now that we're looking at some of these items having to be addressed.
Hey, Chris.
Yep.
I was just going to say that I was really impressed with Triton, and they really presented well, and I think they'll answer all the questions the community has.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Triton and H2M will be coming at that second January meeting, and then as we get closer to the vote, there'll be many more opportunities to ask questions and get information on the project itself.
I know we want to look, because we're in the process of really developing priorities lists, kind of in a way, of like stuff that has to be done versus stuff that we hope to be done, and see how everything costs out.
Yep.
And I know that Margaret and I on the steering committee, just so the board knows, is we've been, and we're going to talk about this in communications committee as well, is to try and find different ways to engage with the public and answer questions as easily as we can, outside of a board meeting, because it's not easy to do when we can't have the back and forth in a public comment, and we can't have Triton here answering. So I think that would be great to have multiple opportunities that way to really get it, because this is a big project in the past several years of doing this. So
yeah, and people are going to see a proposition on the ballot for probably over $60 million. So we want to make sure that the information that we're getting out there is getting to everyone, so they understand what it means and what it doesn't mean. So we'll do our best to get as much information as we possibly can out to the community. And yes, it'll be accurate information. And then one other thing I just want to touch upon. So the Capital Reserve Fund that we currently utilize for our athletic facility upgrades there, we do have about 1.8 million in there now. So we will look to use, I think it's just going to be that 1.8 million. I don't think we're going to get to the 3 million, but we'll use the 1.8 million that we currently have in there now as part of this project as well. So that'll help go towards some of the costs that'll be included in the project.
But that has to be included in the proposition in order to ask for us to use those funds, correct?
Yep.
That's how the law works.
Just like last time when we asked the voters to use the 7 million, it'll be the same thing, that they need to approve the 1.8 as well. So there's a lot more to come on the bond project in the next few months, especially as we kind of bring down that scope of work and really can confidently say what we're looking to do with the potential 60 to 65 million that we are going to be asking the voters in May to approve. And then just some upcoming meetings, January 21st, in addition to the capital projects updates that we'll have from our architects and construction manager, will also be another budget presentation, non-instructional part of the budget. February 11th will be instructional part of the budget. And then March 25th, kind of bring it all together for a summary. And then April 22nd is when look to have the board adopt the budget. May 6th is public budget hearing, and then May 20th is the budget vote and trustee election. So, more to come.
It's updated with the foundation aid, if there's, and I know you do.
Yep.
But if there's, I know it's a bit of a mystery, and I'm not sure what they're trying to.
Yeah, and
trying to get out of it, but
well, it's over a 300-page report at this point.
I know.
The Rockefeller Institute's report is over 300 pages. Those are just suggestions.
Yep.
Now the legislature has to take a crack at it and see what they're gonna, go with or not go with, or come up with their own plan.
Right.
So that's kind of where.
Yep. So I don't anticipate us having too much information on it until after we see what the governor's proposal is, which usually is the end of January.
Because this is playing with, like, what, about 10% of our budget is foundation aid?
Close, yeah.
Of our funding?
Yeah.
So this is playing around with that.
Right. So, and again, if you recall last year, there was talks of trying to remove like the save harmless from it, so districts wouldn't receive less. So it's all, there's a lot of unknowns. So we will stay tuned for
Hopefully
an
they won't try
update in
to
January.
Do that in this year again. but,
Right.
And I know we put the executive summary from NISBA up on the Foundation Aid under the current topics section of our
Yep.
website, along with the full report. Did we get that up yet or not yet? I have to send it to you?
Yes.
Okay. I'll do that tonight. And, yeah, so if anyone wants to take a look, or if they want to read the 300-page report,
Summarize it.
that may or may not be implemented. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Anyone else have any other questions for Chris before we? Okay. This brings us to our financial reports. Acceptance of warrant reports, statement of revenues, treasurer's report, and budget status report. Then we have our approval of minutes. Resolved that the Board of Education, having received copies of minutes of the meetings of 11/12/24 and 11/26/24, hereby approves same.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained? The Personnel Consent Agenda. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, hereby approves the attached personnel agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? CSE, CPSE meeting recommendations. Resolved that the Board of Education, having received copies of recommendations of the meetings as listed on the attached memo, hereby approves same. The costs for these services are contained in the budget 2024-25 year.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? The Business Consent Agenda. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, hereby approves the attached business agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Before we vote, is there anything you'd like to?
Just one item on the agenda is just a donation from the high school class of 2024 parent committee towards the purchase of a protective cover for the gym floor at the high school. So there might be another donation coming as well. So we host a lot of events in there, so they'd like to see that floor protected as much as possible. So
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Wonderful. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? SASSA side letter of agreement. Resolved that the Board of Education ratifies and approves the side letter of agreement dated 12/9/24 between the district and the Somers Association of School Administrators regarding the observance of Yom Kippur, and that the superintendent is hereby authorized to take all action necessary to effectuate the terms of this agreement.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
SASSA side letter of agreement. Resolved that the Board of Education ratifies and approves the side letter of agreement dated 12/9/24 between the district and the Somers Association of School Administrators regarding the observance of the lunar year, and that the superintendent is hereby authorized to take all action necessary to effectuate the terms of this agreement.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that brings us to our second public comment period. This is for general school topics. All speakers will properly identify themselves. A maximum of a 30-minute period is limited to 30 minutes per speaker. Speakers may comment on matters of public interest involving school operations and programs, but may not criticize or personally attack any individual connected with the school district. No district employee or student may be commented upon or identified by name or situation. Questions asked by the public will be referred to the appropriate staff member for reply at a later time or date, and questions requiring investigations will be referred to the superintendent for consideration and later response. All written statements shall be given to the district clerk.
Hi, my name is Alice Dassel. I have a few questions that I'm hoping that the board would be able to the results of the Tusker 101 survey, will those be shared with parents? Also, last year I brought up concerns over the 8th grade science curriculum. After calling New York State, it was mentioned to me that we were teaching towards the previous year's New York State 8th grade test, science test, with a 11% decrease in state score. I'm wondering if the curriculum has changed at all, or if it has stayed the same. Have we looked into this? I did mention this last year, by the way, that we were teaching towards the wrong science course. And I'm just hoping that the new person who is in charge of the curriculum, that information has been passed to them. Lastly, I am asking the board to consider opting out of the New York State regionalization initiatives. I understand that you guys have a meeting, a few of you will be attending a meeting on the 12th where you will get more information about this. I'm wondering what the next steps will be for the town as far as, will the parents have a say? Will the parents at all be considered when you guys are making this decision? 10 years is a long time to make a decision as a district. From what I read, I understand that the New York State isn't putting all the information out. They're limiting their information. That in itself is a red flag. And the fact that it is being rolled out under a emergency rule, that is a huge red flag. What else will be rolled out under an emergency rule that we're not aware of yet? I'm not against helping other schools, other districts. That's not what this is about. It feels like a blank check towards the state and giving a lot of decisions. So I'm just wondering what the next step will be from the board as far as allowing the parents to have a voice, allowing us to be part of this decision that you guys will be making for us. And I would love to hear your stance on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. That brings us to our final comments from board members.
Oh. I just wanted to say, I congratulate the Con Ed winners and the drama club. I can't wait to go see Clue. Our football champions, and Julia. I was asking her, does she even run in the snow? And she does with spikes. So I was super impressed, and thank you.
Yeah, again, congratulations to all the student athletes. Impressive feats. I've received, as all of us have, questions about regionalization. I think we're going to hold off on making any stance or comment. We'll see what happens in the meeting on the 12th and get all the feedback and present it to the community. But, keep coming out and expressing your concerns, doing your research, and, let us know your thoughts on it. Finally, we had a conversation with a company called Inspired AI, and we're looking into possibly bringing in a summer camp here for AI, for middle school and high school students to teach an AI program that's run by Stanford and MIT graduate students. So we're working on finalizing details and getting dates, but looking towards the end of August, and we'll post out the information as it comes along. And have a good holiday for everyone. We won't be seeing you until January.
Oh, wow.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, I also, thank you. I also wanted to congratulate all the student athletes, the football team, and Julia Duzinski, and the Con Ed winners, Marin Kellick and Miguel Iglesias, as well as all the league champions. Well done for everyone. I'm also looking forward to seeing Clue on Saturday evening. I think the teaser that we got this evening is quite intriguing. Also, as Jimmy mentioned, tomorrow the high school student council is hosting the Veterans Brunch. I'm looking forward to attending that. And to everyone celebrating Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or simply the college football bowl season, happy holidays to you all, and I wish everyone a happy and safe New Year's Eve and 2025.
I'd like to thank the girls for coming out to give us that snippet of the play. It looks really good. I'm sure it's going to be a huge success. I'd like to congratulate all the sports teams who were recognized tonight, especially Mr. Iglesias and Ms. Kellogg on their amazing accomplishments. That Con Ed award is not easy to get, and they did a great job. I'd also like to give a big congratulations to Coach DiMatteo. his huge success. Not only do we have one of the best programs in the state, and I believe we have one of the best programs in the country, he built that from the bottom up, and he did a wonderful job. He's a good role model for all. Like Daryl said, we have the Veterans Lunch. Look forward to going to that as well. And I'd like to say happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas to everybody. Like we said, we're not going to see you till after the New Year, so hope everybody enjoys.
Yep, I always love it when we can honor our students and their efforts and dedication and accomplishments. Always really impressive, and you know there's a lot that goes into that to get to this point. Just to add in, also really proud, all of the teams were received academic honors as a team, which is just fantastic. Really super proud. To have those skills, for our students to learn those skills, to balance all that kind of dedication, those activities, along with their academics, that's just really positive for the futures and shows that they have a bright future. Yeah, I think that's mostly it. Clue, if you can get out, that looks, I'm very intrigued. I don't quite have it figured out yet, but
You don't have a clue?
I oftentimes, no. Happy holidays to everyone. See you next year.
I also want to just say congratulations again to all of our student athletes. It's so impressive that all the fall teams were scholar athletes this year. That's a great accomplishment. And of course, to be the only football team to ever win 3 times in a row in Class A or Double A, I guess, as well, is so impressive. And so a huge congratulations to being state champions and for Julia and Marin and Miguel to get their awards as well this year. That's amazing. Good luck and break a leg, I should say, to the drama club for this weekend. I look forward to attending those performances. It's actually one of my favorite movies ever, and also a favorite board game of mine. So just an added bonus. And also, I look forward to attending the luncheon tomorrow to honor our veterans. I think it's wonderful that the Student Council is doing that, giving that opportunity. I look forward to meeting with the commissioner and the panel on Thursday with Margaret and Pat and Harry at BOCES, where we can hopefully get additional clarity on both the foundation aid and regionalization. We intend to put it. We've also put up information on our under the current topics section of our website. And we'll continue to keep updating that as it comes in. There was just another memo because the Board of Regents just met again this week. So we keep getting, yesterday and today, so we keep getting more information. And I know we have a lot of questions for the Commissioner on Thursday. And on January 7th, we'll come together as a board and discuss it, because that's how we have to move forward on anything. But mostly I'm looking forward actually to the concerts and the play. This week, I know SMS has their concert on the 12th. Next week is SHS and SIS. Their strings and choir concerts are happening, as well as the play. And I just wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and we'll see everyone in the new year, if not sooner.
I'd like to thank Chris and his team for the initial budget presentation tonight. And everybody forgot. I said it was going to be boring, and but I'd like to thank Chris for the budget presentation. And I know the hard work that's going to be done by Chris and his team to finalize the proposed budget for the 25-26 budget year over the next few months. I'd also like to congratulate the cast and crew of the Somers High School production Clue, which will be presented this weekend. Thanks for the video presentation that we saw tonight. I'd also like to recognize the student athletes for their accomplishments this fall season in the various sports, and the fact that each of the teams was named a scholar athlete team. I'd like to congratulate Coach DiMatteo and his staff for their dedication to the football program at Somers High School and the preparation of the student athletes all season. Competing in the New York State Championship game 4 years in a row and winning the last 3 is an amazing feat. I think that Mr. Haddam and the coaches would agree with me that many of the student athletes come up through the various sports programs at Somers, through the Somers Youth Sports Organization, and we appreciate the dedication of the volunteer coaches in the CISO who help make our programs successful. And I think a perfect example of that is the success of the Somers Youth Cheer D14 Level 2 team that took 3rd place at the AYC Cheerleading Nationals in Florida this past weekend. And congratulations to those student athletes from Somers Middle School who participated in that championship. And finally, happy holidays to all. And see you in 2025.
I actually forgot one thing besides thanking Chris. I actually also forgot. I wanted to also just give a shout out to the Somers Sports Broadcasting Club. They did an amazing job, and they got to, thanks to, with the help of Mark Haddam, he arranged for the kids to go up to, or the young men, to go up to the Dome with the football team, and they got to broadcast live from the Dome in the press box. And they've been doing some great work. This is a new club this year. Hopefully we'll see them in the future, and they just did such a great job broadcasting the game. So I want to take a moment to also recognize that. I almost forgot, but be it resolved that this regular meeting of the Board of Education be adjourned.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?